This is one of my most interesting studies to me. As a man is taller, so if a man goes from 5'8" to like 6'2", his lifetime sexual partners increases by 33%. But here's the crazy part. The same thing happens for women, and I don't know why. I cannot figure this one out. If a woman is taller, she actually has more lifetime sexual partners.
Serious?
I don't know why. And it's not quite to the same level, but it's a really, really interesting study. The other one is if a man is shorter, then when they surveyed them, those men have sex with their wives more often than taller men do, and are less likely to leave in divorce. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Because hypergamy isn't real, right?
Some level of consciousness, they understand their situation.
Send your hate my way, buddy.
Yes.
Sorry.
So this is the classic hypergamy shot here, okay? Everybody knows the chart on the, everybody, my audience anyways, knows the chart on the right-hand side there, which is, if you got, this is from 1 to 10. If you got women who are like down to 1 is always going to be looking for a guy who's an 8 or above. And again, if you follow Math, this is basically where he's pulling all of his illustrations from. But I don't want to focus on that today because I think we probably have established that pretty well with that last video. What I want Mike to look at here is on the left-hand side here, which is the assortative mating strategy here.
Yes.
And this is the one that has now, everybody wants to say that this is really the way things go. Now, I wanted to point something else out here because we were just talking about like genuine desire and just this, this feral lust and for monkey sex kind of thing, right? And I think what needs to be really made a distinction here is that when you're looking at who's pairing off with who and who is marrying who, whether it's socioeconomic status or who's good looking and who's not good looking and all this other stuff, it would be in a perfect world, ones would get with ones and twos would get with twos and threes would get with threes. And that's simply not the fucking way that we see it, especially not after the advent of hormonal birth control and the sexual revolution. And I'm sure in the 20th century, this probably played out very well when women were dependent on men. Why? Because men who didn't have the ability to generate that genuine desire, they could make up for it and compensate for it with value added. So if they had a really great job or they came from a really good family or they were well educated, those kinds of things. Because you had that. Now it's a different game. And so like I said, with the advent of hormonal birth control and women can pick and choose longer, that's why the average age of first marriage is 30 years old. That's why we see what's really true, which is the hypergamy side of everything here. And so just to put a period on the end of this, the thing that I'm seeing right now is people keep saying, well, it's all about assortative mating and everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, that's who people line up with. Maybe a 5 gets with a 5 and they marry each other, and that seems like the most logical situation. It's not about who's pairing with who. It's who wants to fuck who.
Yes, okay, so you're bringing my point
up. Who has the desire to get with it, because I will tell you right now, when Aquaman came out, your grandmother didn't go see that fucking movie because she's a big fan of the DC comic book character Aquaman. She went to go see it because Jason fucking Momoa was in that goddamn movie.
So can you pull that thing up again?
Yeah.
So here's what when we look on the left, it's assortative mating, and on the right we look at hypergamy. Mm-hmm. And what we're trying to say is what's on the right is the desires of women. Obviously, 70% of men aren't virgins, so like it's not like only the top 30% of men are getting laid at all. But what we see on the left is what ends up happening. And the thing is, what we hear from, I don't know, what do we call these people? The blue pill people? I don't know what we call Jasmine Jafar and Destiny.
The uninitiated.
Whatever, the blue pill. Mm-hmm. The blue pill side of the thing. Well, the thing is, what they're saying is because on the left we see the assortative mating, that means that hypergamy isn't real. No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is when women select for a man who makes $100,000 a year and is 6 feet tall, that's only 2.3% of men. And when you select for not obese and not married, it gets less than 1% of men. The reason why, so the thing that I heard Destiny say this, and I also heard Jasmine say this, the barista is not dating the billionaire. And the reason why is because there's probably 100,000 baristas in this country, and I believe there's 56 billionaires, okay? Mm-hmm. That's the difference. There aren't enough male billionaires that are single. There aren't enough billionaires to date the baristas. And so when you listen, and it was actually DatePsych who pointed this out, women tend to settle for a man who's a 5, and men tend to settle for a man or a woman who's an 8. And what he was trying to say is it's actually women who are settling more. No, they're not. Homau said it correctly. When women say they're settling, they're not. What the settling looks like is that red chart right there. Mm-hmm. They're an 8, dating an 8, but in their mind they're settling because their preferences is that chart on the right. Yeah. The chart on the right makes the girl who's a 4 think that she can get an 8 because she fucked an 8 one day. The girl who's a 7 thinks because she fucked Drake one time that she can get another guy to marry her. And so because of that, because she wants the 8, but she ends up settling for the 5, she ends up being like, well, I settled. No, you ended ended up about where you're supposed to be, and that it's not a function of hypergamy or non-hypergamy. It's a function of economics. That's what's going on. There just aren't enough men out there that are able to do that kind of thing, and so that's what the issue is.
How many baristas want to fuck the billionaire?
Yes, that's correct.
To fuck the Chippendales.
Correct.
Dancer,
Now here's the thing. Now what the
you're
response?
at the top of your game.
Now again, I'm gonna be the
Billionaires are so stingy.
I'm gonna be the blue pill. I'm gonna be the blue pill advocate again. Okay. So now here's the blue pill advocate. So what they're saying is, okay, yeah, hypergamy is real, Michael, but you see the assortative mating thing. That means it's good news for everyone. Everything works, except that it doesn't work because you look at the amount of people that are getting married, and it's the lowest rate possible. What's happened is that bottom group, they're not going across and getting married. Those women are just doing nothing. They're not getting married at all. That's essentially what's happening. That's what's going on. And at the top, here's the other issue. And this is just for like the top 5% of men. I got to look up the status on this. But like we see the men at the bottom having little to no sex, but to see the men in the top 5%, the number of sexual partners that they've had is like doubled. Well, something's broken here. If fucking 63%
might be working perfectly, and we just just never experienced it.
If 63% of men under the age of 30 are single, but only 33% of women, who the fuck are these women dating? And the answer is they're either dating the same guy or they're dating an older guy.
The invisible guys.
No.
You can't see them. You don't know about it.
No, but what I'm saying, of that 63% of men that are single, about half of them are invisible. And that's the reality of the situation. So while we keep talking about it's a good thing because of assortative mating, I can show you studies that show that as a man makes less and less money, the likelihood of him going a year without sex increases.
Yep.
That is hypergamy. Hypergamy is real, and it manifests in real life all the time. Also, the study that showed, this was one of my most interesting studies to me, as a man is taller, so if a man goes from 5'8" to like 6'2", his lifetime sexual partners increases by 33%. But here's the crazy part. The same thing happens for women, and I don't know why. I cannot figure this one out. If a woman is taller, she actually has more lifetime sexual partners.
Serious?
I don't know why. And it's not quite to the same level, but it's a really, really interesting study. The other one is if a man is shorter, then when they surveyed them, those men have sex with their wives more often than taller men do, and are less likely to leave in divorce. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Because hypergamy isn't real, right?
Some level of consciousness, they understand their situation.
Send your hate my way, buddy. Sorry. Isn't that great? It's so awesome. Those fucking pesky stats. Hate that shit.
These guys are quoting wrong stuff.
So this is one other thing. I don't want to get too far off the subject, but when people don't like shows like this, because it's not that the stats because they can't say that the stats are wrong. They know the stats are right. The problem is, from their estimation, and this is what from Municat, this is the only thing I can come up with. She's not offended by the stats that we've come up with. She's offended that men are even trying to figure this out.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong questions.
No, what's offensive is that this idea that men are trying to use science to figure out intersexual dynamics, when it's like, duh, bro, it's just obvious, bro. And then while she's saying that, a pretty girl who has millions of followers on YouTube is saying that, while a third of men who could never get with a girl like her are sitting there suffering. And then when evolutionary psychology could possibly shed light on why that is, she's like, no, strike that down. I can't believe you talk about that stuff.
Don't ask the questions.
Dude, the hip to waist ratio stuff is fucking unassailable. I'm sorry. I would bet, ma'am, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, actually you might be, you clipped me in your video like 4 times. If you're watching this, anything you want, come on my show and let's debate. I promise you, no name calling, no nothing. If you want to go up against the data when it comes to hip to waist ratio, let's do it. And then what I need you to do though is propose an alternative theory. And the other problem is this: no matter what numbers David Buss or Lita Cosmides or whoever came up with, she was going to have a problem with it. If the number was 0.75 or 0.72 or the idea that men, these fucking academic men, have the audacity to try to figure out women using science. Fuck these men. I can't believe that you would even consider. And then the other part is, it's like, well, it turns out beauty actually isn't as subjective as you think, and you're teaching people this. How dare you? You're telling people how to think. No, I'm not. I'm not telling people how to think.
Clearly, you have no idea what it's like to be pretty.
Yeah, exactly. A beautiful woman is telling you to stop studying how to find beautiful women. Does that seem great? Does anyone else figure that out? When really, really good-looking dating coaches are telling you to just be yourself, is anybody else kind of fucking seeing what's going on? I don't mind that you're being sold to, but at least know you're fucking being sold to. I love Chris Williamson. I love his fucking podcast. But when a guy that good-looking is telling me to just be myself, must be really fucking nice, Chris, to be that good-looking and tell men to just be themselves.
Clearly,
I'm sure it works out really well for you. And by the way, way, by the way, like Alexander, like you too, but man, I am not confident enough to pull off a man bun. I'm not that good looking,
it's
bro.
a chin bun.
The chin bun. I am not that good looking to pull that off, bro. If I was that good looking, I'd be sitting there telling men to just be themselves too.
If you're watching this, I have a gift for you. Click the link below and I will send you a private invite to my community. And yes, it's absolutely free.